Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. 'Tis the last day of summer, and so I thought I'd give this shirt, a summary shirt, the last airing before sort of March or April next year. It'll all be jumpers, hoodies and cardies from now on going in. It is at least a Friday, and where I am, at least, it is sunny, so we've got that going for us. And in case, before we get going, in case you hear noises off screen, I'm dog sitting today, so instead of one dog, I have four. Didn't know when I was well off. And they all like each other, they all know each other and that. It's just a bit rough and tumble, so if you do hear noises, that's what that is. Now, summer is over and we're moving into the conference season as far as the parties are concerned. And for the SNP, it's going to be pretty grim. They've got the by-election coming up in Rutherglen and they're not expected to win it. And last night, they were humiliated. In Ayrshire, there was a by-election for the local council in Girvan and South Carrick. And of course, they not only didn't win it, they not only didn't come second, they were absolutely trounced. And having a beating like this just before your conference is never going to be a good thing. And so we will take a look at that and see what's going on and what the results were and go in detail, which we're about to do. But before we go in there, may I ask all you very regular viewers who are yet to subscribe, all 65% of my viewership, who are the regulars who have yet to subscribe, please do. We are a political channel. The algorithm pushes us down. It's very hard for us to get out. We don't get sort of random hits and things. And so it is immensely helpful if you hit the subscribe button. Because as you have more subscribers, it lifts you in the algorithm and it means they push you very slightly further. And also liking videos also helps. So do please like, but definitely subscribe. It is of more aid than you can possibly imagine. And join us in our truth, in our journey, and in our fight against the lies and cover-ups that you see elsewhere. Just yesterday, I did a story where the mainstream media, BBC and STV, both basically covered up a story because it was unhelpful and inconvenient. But it was a story that I covered because it was the truth. So join us in our search for the perpetual truths. Anyway, thank you very much for that. I will get in and do this story and let's see what the results in Girvan and South Carrick were. Here goes. Well, you can see from the headline that it wasn't a very good result. Another dismal by-election result for Humza Yousaf and the SNP as they lose the Ayrshire seat. And the Nats were beaten in Girvan and South Carrick, while Alex Salmond's Alba party finished dead last in another humiliating blow. I think Alba are just becoming the whipping boy now. There's nothing of them. They're a joke. They're not even a real party. They only exist, really, to make sure that Alex Salmond has an income. He was out, he had no money, said, I know, I'll start a party, get a few members to join, they pay their whatever their fees are to join. He can draw a salary off it. As long as I make the right noises from time to time, I've got a job for life. And that's basically where he is. And of course, people are wising up to it now. Nobody's voting for them. They've got nothing to offer. They're full of losers and has-beens. But that could be applied also to the SNP, couldn't it? And certainly last night, it was shown that they were losers and has-beens. And it often never was. Anyway, here we go. It's there's Yousaf. Now, he's currently, of course, in the States on an all-expenses-paid holiday, pretending to work. And by all expenses, I mean, obviously, all expenses paid by the taxpayer. He's not paying for this. He's pretending to go over there and do some work on climate change and whatever. Even though, obviously, took him a seat on a jet aircraft to fly halfway around the bloody world to talk about climate change. A bit hypocritical. But he could have done this with a Zoom meeting and saved it, but then he wouldn't have had his little well-earned holiday. And it's just typical, really, of the man, isn't it? Typical of the SNP. Go and grab what you can get, make your stash, hide it, and live off other people's money like a parasite. Anyway, the blows keep on coming for Humza Yousaf. Well, let's hope that we don't see that on his expenses claim. After the SNP suffered another dismal by-election defeat. The Nats had been defending the seat in Girvan and South Carrick Ward in South Ayrshire, and they made a very poor job of defending it I would suggest. They didn't win, and they didn't win by a long way. They were trounced by the Scottish Tories. And if you've got to be thinking, if you're losing to the Tories, and you'll see in the result in a minute, if you're losing that much to the Tories, you are doing something very, very wrong. If you are, the SNP. Anyway, they firmed up their position as the biggest party in South Ayrshire. The election was called after the former SNP council leader, Peter Henderson, stood down for health reasons. Presumably those health reasons being that he was sick and tired being a member of the SNP. Anyway, the picture was complicated by the fact that an independent candidate won the biggest number of first preference votes in the ward at last year's council elections. And this meant hundreds of votes were up for grabs. But the SNP could only manage to add a measly 3.2% to their vote share, which is virtually nothing. In contrast, the Conservatives boosted their share by nearly 20%, 19.5%. Now, that's astoundingly high. Even Labour enjoyed a 9.2% increase, while the Lib Dems, who didn't even stand in 2022, won nearly 4% of the vote. It goes to show that nobody really wants the SNP anymore. They are so fast and so quickly becoming the party that nobody wants to vote for. Sure, you're going to get the loons. You're going to get the wild-eyed, pull your hair out, Freedom William Wallace Brigade. But anyone with half a brain is going elsewhere because they realise the damaging effect of every piece of policy having to be seen through the lens of independence rather than getting on and actually doing the day job. There you go, Humza Yousaf. What the hell's he doing in America? He's not a national leader. He's the Lord Mayor at best. Everything's going wrong over here, but he seems to think it's okay for him to sod off to the States. Why? He's not a national leader. He's not the Prime Minister. He's, basically the chairman of a regional assembly. But he needs to feel important, bless him. Anyway, Alex Salmond's Alba Party continues to be a laughingstock of Scottish politics. It won just 70 votes. And you wonder how many of them are Alex Salmond's own family. That's 2% or 2.5% of the total. If it was a general election, he would have lost his deposit. I don't know if the same rule applies in council elections, but certainly general election, he would have lost his deposit. It all added up to Tory candidate Alan Lamont being elected at the stage 3 of the count, although he was close to being elected at stage 1. Of course, because you get your preferential shares and then devil takes the hindmost, push them out, reallocate, don't they, until someone gets 50%. And that, of course, was him. And it took three counts. Well, never mind. Mr. Lamont won 1,315 votes, 47.5% of the total. An SNP candidate, Joseph McLaughlin, managed 778, or 28.1%. Labour had 488, which was 18%, and the Lib Dems 108, which was 3.9%. So again, the Lib Dems at a general election there would have lost their deposit. However, you'd probably have been there might well have been a higher rate of turnout, and they might possibly got a slight increase come the general election. But we will find out. I mean, obviously this is not the same constituencies, but on that sort of vote share, it's still not looking good for the Lib Dems, put it that way. But when the Tories are getting nearly twice as many votes as the SNP in Scotland, it goes to show how far they've fallen. Even if you weren't expecting to win it, you wouldn't expect the difference to be that big. So, well done. The convincing victory was a welcome boost for the Scottish Conservatives. In the corresponding Ayr, Carrick and Cumnock Westminster seat, SNP MP Alan Dorrans will be defending a majority of just 2,329 at the next general election, which is probably about a year away. They'll be watching the clock now. It's probably going to be announced around May, or it'll be made sort of aware about May next year that it will be coming. I don't foresee an early election. They'll want to get this high interest rate stuff away. They'll want to get inflation down. They'll want to try and get fuel costs down, and that may allow them a little sort of tax break perhaps, and then they'll go into the election. Though I don't think it'll do them much good. Might save them a few percent, but I don't think it's going to save their bacon. Anyway, Mr. Yousaf will face his toughest by-election test next month in Rutherglen and Hamilton West, where they'll be defending the seat vacated by Margaret Ferrier. Scottish Labour have been installed as the favourites to win, although their campaign has been less than stellar and potentially opening the door to the Nats. And the SNP have already lost the North Lanarkshire by-election under Mr. Yousaf, and we covered that recently, last month indeed. So they're not very going. They don't have much momentum, is where I needed to say that. Going forward, the SNP don't have a lot of momentum. It's going to be tough, and I think Labour will win Rutherglen. I think it'll be close, but I think Labour will do it because there's a lot of sentiment that way. I think it'll be close, but it'll be a win. And I think going then into SNP conference, they'll have lost 3 elections or possibly 4 elections on the bounce. And so it's going to be a bit dismal. Now they've hired this giant hall up just outside Aberdeen. Not even in Aberdeen, so it's going to be very expensive to get there. Most people in Scotland don't live anywhere near Aberdeen. So they're going to have to all traipse up there whichever way they can. They get to Aberdeen, and then they have to get public transport out to this huge venue, which is, several miles outside. So it's a lot of time, trouble, expense to get there. And it's a huge hall. I don't know how many it holds, 30,000, 20,000, something like that. And they're only going to likely have about 800 people. I mean, at that rate, you could have held it in a school assembly hall, surely. But hey, there we go. That's that coming up, and they're all going to sit there and try and talk a good game. But I think underneath, there's going to be a general malaise at the party conference. Everyone will know the truth, that they're a dying party, appealing to ever fewer numbers with always falling memberships. There we go. Somebody's walked past the house. But falling, attracting fewer numbers of members and losing money hand over fist. What a shame. I am about to go off and beat some dogs. No dogs will be beaten, I promise you. I'm only saying that metaphorically. I'll go and give them a biscuit. Anyway, I shall round off here. I shall come up, finish this video, and then go and give the dogs a biscuit. Coming up. So there we go. More of those bitter ashes. That taste of defeat for the SNP and for Humza Yousaf in particular. And I think, when he loses, or if he loses Rutherglen, that'll be 3 defeats on the trot. You'll have the court case results. So that'll certainly happen before their party conference. And if they lose that as well, I think the rumblings will be in the air that it may already be time for a change of leadership. The party's going nowhere. It's not advancing anywhere under this idiot's, control. And I think it may well be time for a change. And there may be a stalking horse. Not someone who's likely to become the leader, but someone who'll get the ball rolling. I think, if you put your mind to it, I think there's only one person that can possibly be. And that would be, of course, Fergus Ewing. He could be the one that starts the process, that leads to it. Then allows Kate Forbes to come in. Not saying she's better, but she's different. But she's prepared to get rid of the old guard, which can be no bad thing. Forbes comes in, and her and Ewing form a new sort of regime in the SNP and become less mad. And that's got to be a benefit, because you're going to have the SNP for the next few years anyway. Can we have people who are less extreme and less completely bonkers? Who knows? Anyway, I'll stop there. I hope this video has earned your subscription. As I said at the beginning, we really need your help, so do please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, there's only a year to go till we can give them a final drubbing and maybe get the SNP out of Westminster as well. Certainly need to get rid of a load of them. They're rubbish. Bye.